thank you so much for watching. Hi! I'm so glad you're here because I had absolutely no clue what I was going to do this week, so I made a very last-minute decision to do another thrift flip video. This time with a little bit of a twist. The materials I'm working with, I did not thrift myself. I asked my mom, who also goes thrifting, give me random things. And I gotta say, she came out swinging with the first one because she said, well, I have a bag of headless dolls. Could you do something with that? You have a what? I have a bag of headless dolls. Why? They only wanted the heads. Yeah, so now I have a bag of headless dolls. You know, I told her to surprise me, and mission accomplished. I have some ideas of what I'm gonna do with that, but the second item is this bin full of ties. Might look like there's tissue paper, but it's because the ties are individually wrapped in tissue paper. So I don't even know what they all look like, but we're gonna find out right now. We have a lovely gold stripy number, red and blue one, this black and red and gold. That one's kind of cool. Kind of like that. Kind of got a weird sheen to it. I like it. Oh, it's like a bunch of eyeballs. Very interesting pattern. Very interesting patterns. What is that? Paisley? Ooh, I can already see a small... Oh, it's so pretty. It's really cute. Got little blue flowers. Like a trippy paint gallery. Okay, I like that too. It's almost like a blood-spattered Beetlejuice jacket. Ooh, kind of like a rainbow effect. Might have to keep this one in case we do another decraftathon. And maybe Mr. Goodstitch will have a bedazzled tie. So those are all the ties. Oh! Don't know what we're going to do with them, but we shall see. So our second item, bin full of ties. So I think step one is going to be brainstorming what I'm going to use. Oh, we should probably look at the dolls. Yeah, that might be helpful. Okay, right up top, we got Headless Cowboy. Got this lovely gal. It says on the tag, Scottish Girl. I love this one. I guess Frontier Lady is what it says. And then this one says German Boy. So those are the dolls. I have some sort of an idea. Oh, dust. Now for the ties, I'm either thinking of making them into a bag, like a tote bag, or potentially a corset-like thing. I have to consider that they are long, but they're not very wide. So anything I do with them, I can't guarantee that they're going to cover a lot of ground. I think the bag would be easy, but I kind of think the corset would be cooler. If it was like different lines of alternating pattern, I think that'd be kind of fun. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna turn the ties into a corset, and as far as the dolls go, I still have to figure that one out, so I'm gonna get to work. I started this process by taking the clothes and decorations off of one of the dolls so that I could take a picture of its form and use it to draw up plans for all of them. This is when I realized that their clothes are glued and stapled into their bodies, so this took way more time and tools than I thought it would. For some reason, the idea to make dolls inspired by songs popped into my head and I couldn't shake it. One of the first songs I thought of was Bread by Anya Nami because it frequently gets stuck in my head. So I designed this little character that's made of different breads, a braided loaf for hair, pretzel hair ties, baguette arms, but also including the Mary Janes and socks that the artist has on the album cover. The other dolls I designed are based off of the song Soldier, Poet, King by the Oh Hellos, so I'm going to make a soldier, a poet, and a king. The only problem is I only got as far as the soldier. I did draw this little froggy poet, but it doesn't quite feel right, and I don't know why, so I might make him the king instead. Alright, I think I have my plans well in hand, but it is very late because I started filming very late, so I'm gonna call it a night, and we'll actually get to work tomorrow, so I'll see you then. Hello. It's the next day. We've got our plans, we know what we're doing, I'm just gonna get to work. Just like yesterday, I started with the doll's clothes, now knowing just how many staples are involved. I also learned that these dolls are likely from the 50s or 60s, so the plastic is quite brittle, so I had to be very careful, especially with their little feet. Also, these tags are very insistent that they are not toys, which... yeah, okay. The only one I didn't take apart was the little Frontier Lady because the dress and apron combo was way too cute, so I set her aside to recapitate her another day. And after they were all done, I had a pile of 60-year-old staples to throw away, very carefully. Well, I didn't get much done. As far as the dolls go, I did remove all of their clothing items. I saved them all in a bag in case I can reuse some with the designs that I have. And I did not take apart that floral dress because her clothes were glued on in strange places that the others weren't. To get it off completely, the risk of destroying it was too high and I like it too much, so I set it aside. And I am excited to get started working on them, but I had to take a break earlier because I just wasn't feeling super well, so I did not get very much done. But I think I'm going to start tomorrow by sculpting their heads, and then while those are either baking or drying, I haven't decided what kind of clay I want to use, and then maybe while they're drying or baking or whatever I decide, we'll work on the bin full of ties. So I'll see you tomorrow. Today I didn't feel like filming an intro, so I just got to work. The first step was deciding what kind of clay to use for their heads. Now, air-dried clay cracks a lot, and it's very heavy, and it takes a long time, so that was out. I went with mainly polymer clay so that I could bake it and there would be less to paint, but I did decide to experiment with some model magic for the bread gal just for fun. I would regret this down the road, but it's fine. For our soldier, poet, and king, I'm going in also very inspired by D&D, so our soldier is going to be a little tiefling. I had a lot of blue clay on hand, so she's going to have teal skin and cerulean hair. I went into this project thinking I'd hot glue their hair on after their heads were baked, but instead I decided to also sculpt the hair. This completely changed the timeline on this project because it took a very long time, but I really enjoyed rolling out and placing each individual strand on their heads. I made a bead out of scrap clay, which I do every time I use polymer clay, and appreciated a very sleepy pup, and sent it off to bake. An hour later, our tiefling was ready for a body, so I started color matching and painting the body. Or, I tried color matching. While she was drying, I formed the other heads out of foil and started sculpting the bread gal. I knew she'd need a lot of time to dry, so I had to get her put together today. I love using foam clay, so this was so much fun to work with. Her hair is going to be a braided loaf of bread, tied together with pretzels, so I made those first. Her head is a cinnamon/honey bun type bread, so I added a swirl, some eyes, and a nose for her face. While I had the model magic out, I also sculpted a sword for our tiefling, whose face I also painted on. Alright, I got yet another late start today, but I do think good progress was made. I got the head sculpted and the body painted of the first doll, successfully sculpted the second. However, I don't know that I'm going to be able to do all 5. If I still want to use the ties, then I don't know that I'm going to have time to do all 5 dolls. We'll just have to see how tomorrow goes. But I do like how everything's looking so far, so we'll check in with everything tomorrow. So I'll see you then. Hello, it's the next day. My desk is so chaotic. Right now it is such a mess. There's clay, paint, headless doll bodies. I'm gonna continue sculpting doll heads. My goal is to get 2 more done, pop them in the oven, and then while those are baking, I will work on something to do with the ties. I'm leaning toward a corset, and we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it turns out. We'll see how wearable it is. This might just be an exercise in what can I do, not what should I do. So I'm gonna see what I can do and get to work. Today, I began with our frog friend's head, who I've decided will definitely be the king, giving him lots of little bumps and dots for texture. Then I decided our poet will be a human, and to avoid painting another doll body, I decided to try and match the color of the head to the body. Again, I tried. Then I had to decide on hair color, and while I was initially partial to the purple, I really loved the gray. Since I enjoyed doing the tiefling's hair so much, I decided to try making curly hair for our dear poet, and this was also very fun. I gave them braided buns on either side of their head and spent a long time rolling, flattening, curling, and placing these individual curls on their head. Now it was time to make their clothes, so I broke into my large scrap bin, which I often forget about, and dug around to find some fabric for our little adventurers. By coincidence, our tiefling's color scheme matches my first dream outfit ensemble perfectly, so I found some scraps from that project and used the old clothes as patterns to make their new getup. I hand-sewed the tiefling's shirt, turned it inside out, and put it on. Next, I cut out the pants and sewed them directly onto the doll's body using a ladder stitch up the sides. For her armor, I used some silver pleather from my stash and repurposed the gun holster from the cowboy for her sword, cutting the end off to open it up. Next up, I started making the poet's outfit using this sheet scrap from my fall sewing video and a complementary orange for their skirt, with an olive green overskirt from my bedsheet dress video. I also repurposed German boy's satchel and cowboy's vest. After painting their face and attaching their head, I saw just how disjointed their head and body looked, so I'll have to cover that up somehow. It's much later than I wanted to go tonight, but I did get a lot done. I finished my little tiefling soldier. She looks so cute. The blue skin on the body isn't exactly matching the blue skin on the face, but I kind of knew that would happen. And I thought I was finishing up my little poet, but her skin really doesn't match. It is so far off that I think I'm going to make her a tiny scarf, and I'm half tempted to crochet it, but not tonight because it's quite late. The third doll, which will be the king, his head is here and it looks pretty good, but I haven't even started making his clothing yet. And the fourth doll isn't dry yet. This is kind of what I was worried about when I chose to do air dry clay, not air dry clay, like Model Magic foam clay. I was afraid it would take a long time to dry, and it is. So I'm gonna see where it's at tomorrow. Decorate it if I can, because I am really excited about the fourth one, the bread, and she just looked really cute. So I really want to make it happen. I think tomorrow we will finish up the poet. I also want to make her a tiny book, because what is a poet without somewhere to write their poems? Start and finish, hopefully, the king, and hopefully start and finish our little bread gal. I don't know if the bin of ties is happening. These dolls are taking me way longer than I expected. We'll just have to find out tomorrow. So I'll see you then. Hello, it's the next day. Getting kind of a late start again today, unfortunately, and there is a lot to do still. I'm going to start by finishing up the poet, and then I will move on to the king, giving my bread gal some more time to dry because she's still, I don't remember using Model Magic and it staying this squishy for this long. Maybe I'm thinking of foam clay, and maybe there is more of a significant difference between Model Magic and foam clay than I previously thought, but I'm gonna give it a little more time before I start painting it, and then we'll move on to the bread gal, hopefully, and perhaps the bin of ties, but I'm not making any promises. And since there's so much to do, I'm gonna get to work. I started by crocheting our little poet a scarf with some embroidery floss to cover up the absolutely bizarre looking neck situation they have going on, and this didn't take me as long as I expected it to, and honestly I think it's an adorable addition. I also made them a tiny pleather-bound book that attaches to their hand with a little rubber band. Then I thought because this is an adventuring party and they're a poet, they must be a bard and therefore needed a lute to sing their poems as they trek and travel with their fellow party members, Soldier and King. Speaking of King, time to make his outfit. For some reason, I couldn't really imagine what they would wear, but then I remembered this shiny gold material in my stash and decided he'd have a very shiny shirt and a red cape, because that felt very royal. Because he's a froggy fellow, he had to have flipper feet and hands, so I took some bumpy green pleather and made him some more froggy looking appendages, and painted them to be a bit more of a vibrant green like his head. I added a fur collar to hide his ugly neck joint, much like our poet's, and then found that his head didn't match his feet or hands now, so I painted the head with the same green to help it look a little bit more cohesive. I made him a tiny crown with some EVA foam scraps and then checked on our bread gal. To my surprise, she was still not dry. So instead, I made our king a shield so he can help protect his friends. Alright, all of the dolls, well, I guess not all of them. 3 of the dolls are done. Bread gal is still not dry, so I did not paint or construct her today. Honestly, given the timeline, I'm not sure if I'm gonna have time to do that at all. But the other 3 dolls are completely finished, and I love them so much. They're so cute. I can't stop thinking about little adventures that they would go on because they're definitely a little adventuring party. We have a soldier and a bard, and the king is a king. I don't know what he does, but I think I'm still gonna try to do the corset. Hopefully I'll have time to do it tomorrow. But I'm gonna call it a night, and we'll see what kind of abomination I make with those ties tomorrow, so I'll see you then. Hello, it's the next day. I really gotta wrap this up. Today we're gonna see if we can use all of these ties. I think there are 11 of them, and we're going to make a corset, hopefully. We're gonna try. I'm gonna try to get it all done. I'm picturing a corset that doesn't have straps. Don't ask me why, I'm just picturing that. So strapless and laces down the back. Am I going to regret that when I have to put it on? Absolutely. But I'm gonna do it anyway, because that's what I'm picturing, so we'll see how it looks. They all have a pretty different aesthetic to them. I don't know how this is going to turn out, but we're gonna find out. I immediately made a mistake by printing my new corset pattern double-sided, so I just took some other paper and traced the lines I would need from the back sides of some of the pieces and put it all together. I used a random cotton fabric from my stash to act as a base because the ties should cover it up entirely once it's done, so the fabric's appearance didn't really matter. I chose a sturdy blue cotton for the inside, and after a few fit adjustments, got to laying out the ties. It looked, interesting. at first, but you know what? There's no turning back now. It's just full speed ahead. I sewed each tie down on either side of it, leaving the larger ends hanging well past the bottom of the corset in certain places to mimic those peplum-like pieces that some stays have. Then I took the cut pieces and laid them out in the blank spaces, repeating the pattern I had created except in reverse. Now hemming this thing was a battle on its own. I tried hand sewing it, but the pieces were so unevenly cut by my own cursed hand that it looked so uneven and strange. Then I considered machine sewing a bias tape on instead using leftover tie scraps. The problem, this corset is thick with all of its layers. Just clipping the bias on broke multiple clips, sending them exploding into pieces and bent pins that I tried to put in there, and I got pricked so many times that as a last resort, I just hot glued the bias tape onto the corset, and I have no regrets. It worked. But even the grommets wanted to fight me in the end, but eventually we got there and the tie corset is complete. Alrighty. This corset brought me this close to losing it. It is done, so it's time for the reveal. I love my little dolls. I'm a little obsessed with how cute they are. It's hard to choose a favorite, but the poet is just so cute. I love what I did with their design and their clothing and all their little accessories, so I think they might be my favorite. I'm glad I made the frog the king, because look at him. He was made to be royal. I guess he literally was made to be a royal, because I made him a royal. But our tiefling, our firstborn, she's just so cute. I feel like she would do a lot of the heavy lifting in the group, being accompanied by a poet/bard and a king. I don't really know what he does. I haven't really decided what class he would be. Let me know if you have any ideas. What I do know is he likely wouldn't be super helpful in a fight, so I imagine that the soldier is constantly having to fight to protect the other two party members. But honestly, they live for it because that's what they feel they were born to do, so it all kind of works out in the end. Have I thought too deeply about their story? Yes. And I will continue to do so. The tie corset looks a lot better than I thought it would, especially for having so many contradictory colors and patterns, but it almost kind of reminds me of like a bunch of medieval pennants, like flags that were at a jousting match from all of these different groups of people there participating, and somebody just kind of took some of their flags and sewed it all into a corset, and I think that's why my brain, I should make some of those. That's going on the list. Make medieval flags/pennants. No, not that kind of pennants. 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 That's on the list. Oh, or a tapestry. I don't have time for a tapestry. I don't have the stuff for a tapestry either, but it'd be really cool. Overall, I like everything I made. And if you do too, you can let me know by hitting the like button. And if you want to see what I'm doing next and join the channel, hit the subscribe button. And if you want to know when I post, hit the notification bell and YouTube will let you know. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye!